Welcome to Philosophy of Action. Today I want to talk about something that I haven't talked about basically in a long time, but I've had a take on which I think a lot of people are missing when it comes to AI. The danger of AI is not that human beings become useless. That is the stupid version of the arguments. Human beings will still be useful as fathers, mothers, friends, lovers, soldiers, voters, neighbors, carers, teachers, because people will still act, people will still need each other. The economy does not disappear this way. But the real danger is far more narrow and much more serious. AI may make human beings less necessary inside the impersonal market economy. And that distinction is the most important part that the AI discussion is generally missing. The market economy is not the whole action economy of human life. The market economy is only the part of human action that gets priced, bought, sold, and mediated through money. But there are endless actions that matter which are not properly captured by money. Raising children, caring for parents, building trust, maintaining families, defending communities, creating meaning, and all the day-to-day things we do we're not getting paid for. Those things remain real, but the market may stop paying for ordinary human labor. The market can stop needing your labor before you stop needing the market. You still need food, you still need housing, you still need clothes, you still need energy, transport. But if those things are increasingly produced by automated systems owned by someone else, and your labor is no longer competitive against the machine, then how do you get access? That is where the Roman comparison I'm about to make will become useful. Not because AI is morally the same. That is not my argument. My point is that AI is essentially, once it gets fully evolved, the same as slavery economically. The comparison, therefore, is structural. In the Roman Republic, large landowners gained access to land and slave labor. The slave was a human being, obviously, but within the system he was treated as productive capital. You bought him, maintained him, fed him, guarded him, and used him to produce output using his physical body, but also his intellect. The independent citizen farmer was not made useless as a man. He was still useful as a father, soldier, voter, client, and Roman, but he became less necessary as an independent producer. Land and slave labor replaced his market role in society. AI and robotics will do something similar, most likely. AI is not just a tool. A hammer still needs a worker, a factory still needs workers, but advanced AI and robotics begin to look more like land combined with slave labor. A productive base that can be owned, scaled, defended, and used to produce output without needing proportional human labor. In other words, AI, just like a slave, is capital that thinks. In essence, they become the new slaves, or the new land, the new solid capital that produces everything else. And the central question becomes, who owns this new land, this new productive but also thinking asset? Because if a tiny class owns the machines, models, data centers, energy systems, logistics, networks, and platforms, everyone else does not simply die. They will become clients, like in the Roman period. That is the future to fear. Not everyone's starving in the street. That's too simple. People are violent, societies do not stay stable by letting millions starve in public. What you get instead is maintenance, bread, entertainment, welfare, subsidies, digital comfort, political belonging, an enemy to hate, a patron to support, but not independence. The machines, the slaves, the thinking capital will produce, owners will control that capital, and non-owners will need access to the output. And if they cannot buy that access through wages, they will sell something else for that access. Loyalty, votes, obedience, silence, identity, and political support. If you cannot sell your labor, but you still need access to the market, you sell yourself. That is clientism. And this is why redistribution alone does not solve the problem. Yes, redistribution may keep people alive. It may give them food, housing, healthcare, basic consumption, but it doesn't necessarily give them agency. It does not make them necessary. It can simply change the patron. Instead of becoming a client of capital or a client to the owner of the business, you become a client of the state or the political party. Functionally, you're still a client. That may be better than starvation, but it's not the same as freedom. The nightmare is not poverty. The nightmare is permanent dependency inside of an abundant economy. But this also does not mean we can refuse automation. That is too simple. You cannot opt out of global automation. If we refuse to automate, other nations will. They will build the robots, the AI systems, automated factories, automated ports, automated farms, and our state will become dependent on foreign platforms, foreign chips, foreign logistics, foreign military technology, and foreign finance. So the choice is not automation or no automation. The choice is internal danger or external domination. If we automate badly, our citizens become clients of domestic capital and the state. If we refuse to automate, the whole nation becomes a client of a foreign power that did automate. So this is not an anti-technology argument. It is an anti-enclosure argument. AI and robotics are becoming the new thinking capital. A nation that does not possess this new thinking capital becomes dependent on nations that do, because it simply outcompetes all other forms of labor and capital. But a people whose own capital is owned only by a tiny internal class is not free either. So the question is not, should we automate? We have to. The question is, who owns the automated base and how do ordinary citizens access it? Now, the obvious answer is redistribution. Tax the winners, give people money, let the machines work and humans consume. But money only gives access. It does not restore action. If the market no longer needs human labor and the state simply gives people money, then people are maintained, yes, but not necessary. They are consumers but not citizens. So the answer has to preserve human action. We need something like a civic action reserve, not anti-cyclical policy. There is no cycle here. This is not a temporary recession. This is a structural change in our economy. If the automated market permanently needs less labor, then society needs a permanent institution that keeps human beings active inside socially necessary work. Companies and automated capital pay money tax because they control the monetary productive base. Citizens pay action tax because even when they have little income, they still possess time, presence, strength, care, judgment, and embodied competence. In the exchange, citizens are compensated in money, goods, house, services, or rights, but the compensation is tied to real civic action, not fake bureaucracy. Bureaucracy will probably be automated anyway. Real work, building roads, houses, childcare, elderly care, education, local food systems, maintaining energy reserves. The machine economy can do most efficient production fine, but humans should still perform a meaningful share of the socially necessary work, even if it's less efficient, because efficiency is not the only value. A society that values only efficiency will eventually make its own citizens unnecessary. There's also a safety reason. If machines do everything and humans stop practicing actions that keep society alive, then society becomes fragile. If the grid fails, if the machines break, if the AI systems are hacked, if logistics collapse, what then? A society should never automate away 100% of its own competence. In normal times, human labor may be inefficient. In emergencies, it will be priceless. That is the point of the civic action reserve, to keep people useful. It keeps skills alive. It creates a human backup layer underneath the machine economy. But even that is not enough, because in a closed world, automation will always drift toward clientism. If production is automated and the frontier is closed, then the main political fight becomes access to the machines. Who gets the output? Who gets housing? Who gets status? Who gets to live independently? That kind of society becomes a cage, a comfortable cage, perhaps, but still a cage. Historically, societies escape this pressure through expansion, new land, new settlements, new frontiers, new roads, new dangers, and new opportunities. But in the nuclear age, military expansion is suicidal. So the real frontier has to be space. Space development is not an escapist fantasy. It is the civilized replacement for empire. Space creates new land, new scarcity, new dangers, new logistics, new settlements, new infrastructure, and therefore new demand for human action. A closed world with automation becomes a client society. An expanding civilization with automation can remain a civilization of actors. So the real AI problem is not robots, it is ownership. Automate nationally, prevent monopolistic control, tax automated capital, preserve civic action, keep humans trained in real necessary work, build a human safety layer beneath the machine economy, and expand outwards. So human action has somewhere to go. Because the market may stop needing human labor, but civilization must never stop needing human beings.